it's number one, it's always great to see him, but especially walking around and doing things. In fact, it's good he showed up today. I've got a damn budget due this week, and he knows more about it than anyone else. So we're going to keep him here, Pat, till he gets a budget done.
That's a DP,
Okay?
right?
That's a DP, that's right. So he's going to do that for us while he's in today. When Steve left, we didn't get a chance to really say goodbye like we wanted to and to do a formal presentation. So what I would like to do at this point is to do that. Paul, please, attention.
To Stephen E. Mason for exceptionally meritorious civilian service as Deputy Director, American Forces Radio and Television Service, American Forces Information Service, Office of the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs from April 1998 to September 2001. Mr. Mason was a superb manager and leader who was knowledgeable in every facet of the electronic media and communications industry and in the use of the industry for the Department of Defense Command Information Mission. His unique abilities resulted in efficient and effective adoption of state-of-the-art digital compression technology by AFRTS, making possible the addition of 3 new television services to United States service members and their families stationed overseas. Mr. Mason's keen understanding of command information capabilities and resources already available within AFIS and AFRTS also led to development of a daily Pentagon Channel television service. This service provided DoD leadership with local news and information and made department press briefings available for viewing by Pentagon television cable system audiences. Through his tenacity, ingenuity, and vision, Mr. Mason significantly improved quality of life for United States forces overseas and developed the vehicle to significantly enhance internal information dissemination within the Pentagon. For these and his many other contributions, I take great pleasure in presenting Stephen E. Mason the Secretary of Defense Medal for Meritorious Civilian Service, signed Donald Rumsfeld, Secretary of Defense.
Wow. Steve, gives me a great deal of pleasure to finally get this to you. We've been holding on to it until we can find an appropriate time. Well deserved. Congratulations. To an AFRTS, or even more important than that, is the next award that I would like to present to Steve. Each year, we present the Colonel Tom Lewis Award to an outstanding broadcaster in AFRTS. Tom Lewis was our first director, commander, in 1942 when it was formed. He was an advertising executive in California, married to Loretta Young, by the way. Does anyone in here know who Loretta Young is besides me? Thank you very much. I have to ask that, okay. And Tom was doing very well as an advertising executive for Hollywood. And about 2 months into the war, he was called to Washington. And he was asked if he would like to join the Army and to provide radio to the troops worldwide. And he immediately said he would do that. The only question became, what rank should he be? He had no idea what ranks were or anything else. Well, his boss at that time, who had been hired from Hollywood, was a lieutenant colonel. And he said, well, you can't have the same rank as me, so we'll make you a major. So he came on active duty as a major in the Army. He finally retired as a colonel at the end of the war. In 1945, he was addressing a group of civilians in New York City. This is right before the war ended. And one of the comments he made has always to Steve and I been why we do what we do for so long. He said, until the last soldier anywhere in the world has access to American radio, my job and our job is not done. Steve believed that. And he spent most of his life trying to find that last soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, wherever they were, and to provide them service. We are well on our way to doing that. There are not many out there that we don't provide service to. I worked with Steve for a long time. We worked so long together, I guess he finished my sentences. We usually agreed. If I disagreed, he was usually right, and we did it his way. But we stayed together a long time. I don't know anyone else that I've ever met that thought so much of the troops and what we do for them. He really, really believed in that. And I tell you, AFRTS and I still miss Steve to this day. And I think about it often, Steve. Every time I remember what Tom Lewis said, that's what we tried to do. And that's what I still try to do. And I promise you I will continue trying to make that happen, whatever it takes. So it gives me a great deal of pleasure to present to you the 2001 Colonel Tom Lewis Award for Outstanding Broadcasting Support. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Wow. Great.
That's tremendous.
And I'll give you a chance to talk.
Uh-oh. Now you're in trouble. First of all, I never knew I won those arguments until today. I'd always thought I lost. But anyway, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to come back here and see everybody. It's been a year and a half since I've been here, and things have changed a little along the way, but it's really wonderful that I did get to come back, and I appreciate the awards. I have to say that I can accept awards like this only on the behalf of a lot of soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and DOD civilians that worked with me, for me, and over me throughout the years. Because radio and television, as you well know, is the most cooperative of arts. It takes science, art, and a whole bunch of people to make anything happen. There's no one-man band, and nobody accomplishes very much in this business by themselves. And I was fortunate to have such wonderful people to work with and for me, and for whom I got to work for. So many I wouldn't dare start mentioning names because I would leave the wrong people off, but it's been wonderful. From the time I was an Army Lieutenant Colonel, and then Chief Engineer for ABS, Chief Engineer for AFRTS, and then Deputy Director, it's been absolutely wonderful pinnacle to a work career. It's absolutely great. And now I get to really tell you that it's almost a job that you would have almost done for free, but you needed money to live. And there was always some ambition, of course, but it was really great to serve those who serve. That's the way I felt. And you could never do too much for that soldier out there in the foxhole, that poor old Navy guy out there bobbing around on the ocean in the middle of nowhere, an Air Force guy on the flight line, or flying around in most remotest of countries you can think of, and the civilians and so forth, and particularly in these days and times, now with deployment rates the way they are, we just can't do too much for them. So it was a pleasurable experience, and it's absolutely wonderful that I get these trinkets and awards and recognition on top of it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, Mel, and appreciate you and all the people in AFRTS. Thank you very much.